DeMara. I'm 25 years old. This is the first time I've put on makeup during quarantine, and it's a whole lot of cap. I should have stayed true to my quarantine self and been messy haired in pajamas, kicked back in my quarantine space, which you are in right now. I am a server at a restaurant, and I also am a sales associate at a shoe store. Additionally, I am a crisis intervention worker, so when everyone is freaking out, life is coming at them fast, they call me. Tell us when this virus or the threat of the virus became real. Is it real for you now, and why? This virus was announced a pandemic 2 weeks before my trip to Trinidad. Obviously everything was paid for, so I still had to go. That was kind of scary, knowing that I am about to fly out, hop on an airplane when the world is telling you to avoid planes. Didn't wear a mask in the airport. There was hardly anyone wearing a mask, so I'm like, okay, this is maybe not as serious as we all think. And once I was in Trinidad, I didn't even think about coronavirus. It didn't seem like anyone was thinking about coronavirus. Yeah, and if you've ever been to Trinidad for Carnival, you know everyone is in a group together at all times. And when I came back, it was fine as well. Like when we went through immigration, they didn't really ask any questions besides, have you traveled anywhere else, aka to China, within the past 14 days? If you said no, you were fine and you kept going. A week later, state of emergency, we're quarantining, we're social distancing, schools were shutting down, workplaces were shutting down, gyms were closing, libraries were closing, and I'm like, okay, it's getting real. I was working on this Sunday, and midway through the shift, head office calls and says, okay, so we're gonna be closed tomorrow until March 27th. Now I'm like, okay, if it wasn't real before, it's real now. This is a thing. The dynamic of my group chats changed. We're like sending each other screenshots every day, updating each other on certain things, and just like staying knowledgeable about the situation and trying to prepare ourselves for what's next to come, even though no one knows what's next to come and we still don't. And I know 3 people that have been affected within the past like month. So yeah. How have you, your work, your business, and or industry been affected by COVID? So we took regular precautions at both places, which was Lysol wiping everything, maintaining a social distance. At the restaurant, we sat every other booth to maintain that social distance. Business did plummet a lot though. The malls were empty, but a lot of shifts got called off. So for the work that I do at the crisis intervention, that system crashed. The call volumes increased a lot. People were very stressed out, and mental health is so important. But honestly, the dynamic of how I've been affected by COVID, it just seems like a chore. Like when I have to go to the grocery store, I'm like, ugh, which means I have to put on my gloves, put on my mask, wait in line. Once you get home, I Lysol wipe every single grocery that comes back into my home. I put everything in the sink and disinfect. It's a lot. But that's what life has become. I'm very, very thankful and grateful that we have a government that supports us though, and we're able to apply for EI, apply for CERB. I know the systems are very slow because the volume again is so high, but Canada really came through for us, which is good. How have your habits and routines changed as a result of COVID? What are you doing with your time now that you have a break? So sleep is a foreign concept now. Foreign. Bed before 6 a.m. is not a thing. Since I've been in quarantine, I think there's only 1 or 2 days that I've gone to bed before 3 a.m. So it's crazy. I read a lot. I try to work out. Honestly, not gonna lie, I've worked out a total of 3 times during quarantine, but it's a thought that counts. I have the Good Life app on my phone where they do post workout videos. If you remember, you can do that from home. I've been cooking a lot. I've been trying out so many new recipes, and everything has tasted amazing so far. So I'm ready to get a ring on my finger or something. I also enrolled in a free course that Harvard is offering, so that's really cool. It's really good to add to your resume, add to your LinkedIn. My favorite adjustment though is that I have not been spending money. I was in a phase where if I left the house, it's like I charged myself $100 to leave the house because that's how much I would spend within 30 minutes of being outside. Other than the essentials and non-perishables, what's something you had to buy because you couldn't survive social distancing without it? I could not survive social distancing without bubble tea. Okay? If you know me, bubble tea is essential every single day. But I have learned to make bubble tea. I bought tapioca, YouTubed a whole bunch of recipes, and by the end of this quarantine, I could open my own bubble tea shop. Mark my words. I stocked up on alcohol. I thought LCBO was going to be closed. I didn't know it was considered essential. So aside from that, my grocery list consisted of meats, like different kinds of meats, veggies, chips, milk, the usual things. I honestly think I could have bought more non-perishable foods because although the grocery store is essential, it's very, very possible that one day they're going to be like, you know what, grocery stores are closed. And I'd be like, okay, so living off of spoiled vegetables, maybe I'll go stock up tomorrow. I really tried my best not to buy junk food. Yesterday was honestly my first time buying takeout food, and it was McDonald's, and I got 6 nuggets. They shorted me, and they only ended up with 5, so that just goes to show there's food at home. On a scale of 1 to 5, without using 3, how prepared do you think you were when the World Health Organization declared a pandemic? What do you think could have been done to be better prepared? It's really hard not to use 3 because I honestly think I'm right in between. But if I had to choose another number, I would say 4, only because I didn't feed into the chaos. I honestly think panic breeds panic. I tried to remain positive, trying my best not to freak out, because if I freak out, that is just not good for your mental health. So in terms of mental preparedness, I was okay. Financial preparedness, I also was good, because although I did say that I spend money recklessly, I do save a lot of that money too. A skill that I wish I did have during quarantine is financial literacy, because honestly, everyone that does have that is saying now is the time to invest in stocks. Everything is so cheap. The stock market is, I don't even know what terms to use to speak about this, but maybe that's something I can YouTube and learn how to do and put my money somewhere, let it grow itself. Another thought that I did have was YouTube. I was like, if I did have a YouTube channel, this quarantine would be a lot more manageable. I would have so much time to pump out content. In terms of relationships and friendships, that has been pretty good. I've been maintaining a lot of my friendships because we have house party and FaceTime, and every time I hop on FaceTime and video calls with my friends, they ask, what's new? And I'm like, sis, I just talked to you yesterday. The same thing, and it's gonna be the same thing until we're out of house arrest. Where do you think COVID came from? What do you think caused it? I try not to speak to conspiracy theories because I feel like that just is a stressor. It's an added stressor that we do not need. We are already anxious as is, and we don't need to start thinking about this virus being man-made and used as population control. Like, that's just too much. I really pride myself in being able to remain relaxed during this situation. I am generally a pretty relaxed person. I've been, distracting people when I know that they'll probably feel anxious. I've been reaching out more. It might be a little bit selfish, only because I know people are anxious about things and they're talking about conspiracy theories, so I console them to take them from here, de-escalate them to here, so that I do not have to hear about it. Okay? I don't want to hear your conspiracy theories, because we do not need that negativity 2020. I saw this thing where it's like when you get home from outside, don't wear your shoes in the house, wash your hands right away, make sure you're showering. And people are like, oh my god, this is a lot. And I'm like, whatever, I don't even want to speak on it. But what were you doing before? What do you think is going to change as a result of the coronavirus? Will it change for the better, for the worse? And what's your prediction for the future? I feel like once things start to get back to normal and opens up again, the world opens up again, recession. Honestly, I hate to say it, I hate to see it. Thankfully, a lot of stores have clued in that e-commerce is the way to go, and they've put out a lot of promotions and deals so that people that are in quarantine could be shopping, and they could be paying their employees with the money that the shoppers are putting into their website, but it still does not make up for the amount of people that shop in store. The economy is going to really suffer from this, and I hope the world comes together and tries to be a little bit more collaborative in terms of what to do next time if something like this happens and get more on the same page. The governments, we're all kind of collective. It might have been a little bit more manageable because they take tips and chips. They take tips and tricks from each other to help us move forward as a whole. What may change? A lot of schools have learned that online schooling is possible. It might not be as beneficial, but it's definitely doable, especially with like the educational cuts that are happening. This might be something that Ford is looking into to continue to pursue. For the future, I think people are definitely going to maintain social distancing a little bit. Not to like an extreme extent that it is right now, but I feel like extra precautions are going to be taken always because we want to avoid something like this happening again. I know some countries already do that. Like I did visit Korea last year, and just being on their subway system there, it's nothing like the TTC. Nothing. On the train, no one really even talks. Masks obviously are more common there, so that might be a thing that we adapt to as well. What are some of the funniest things, online or otherwise, that you've seen in response to the coronavirus? The plethora of memes have been hilarious. Hilarious. They're so funny. It's the comedic relief that we all need during quarantine. So honestly, people say, oh, y'all don't take anything seriously. I honestly don't mind that, being able to laugh through a time of uncertainty where no one knows what's going on, no one knows what the next steps are, they don't know how to move forward. We do not know when life will resume, so it's okay to kind of laugh at our own pain in a sense. So the funniest meme that I've seen is the Future one, because Future is toxic, as we all know. So it's a picture of him looking at his phone, and then the caption is like, all this social distancing has me thinking about how I've distanced myself from you, blah blah, like a whole spiel. And that's been a thing. Like, your ex has been texting you. Old flings have been hitting you up with that, hey big head. We're all living the same truth right now, we're all bored. Speaking of losing our minds, the Instagram live stories have been crazy. Quarantine radio. I really like seeing the collaborative projects amongst celebrities though, and they sing together, and just, it's really cool to see how celebrities are opening up and interacting and doing live battles and going song for song, and you really get to appreciate the craft. Also, TikTok has always, like, in my head, has been a thing for like the ages of 12 to 18, but now everyone is on TikTok and they're like, didn't need to know this. It's weird. Not that I have been practicing or anything, but it's cool to like go on YouTube and watch my favorite YouTubers talking about quarantine, and I'm like, wow, the whole world is on the same page at once. It's rare that everyone is going through the same thing at the same time. Send yourself a shout out, and where can people find you online? So you can find me on Twitter at DeMara Lee. On Instagram, it's Mara on the wall. Get it? Anyways, I hope you guys are staying safe, washing your hands, social distancing. I do not want to see you outside, and if I do not want to see you complain in July that we still cannot go outside. Thanks for tuning in. Stay safe, guys.